Live a life that will outlive you. Most people drift through life like leaves in the wind, going wherever circumstances push them, never stopping to ask themselves what legacy they're leaving behind. Every morning they wake up, they move through the motions. They do what they think they have to do just to make it to tomorrow. They trade their dreams for paychecks, their passions for routines, and their fire for comfort. But deep inside, when they're alone in the quiet moments, they hear a small voice whispering, Is this it? Is this all you were born to do? That voice is the sound of your greater self, the part of you that knows you were not born just to pay bills and die. You were born to make a dent in this world, to leave behind more than you found, to plant seeds you may never see bloom, but that generations will one day harvest. Right now, you have breath in your lungs and a mind that can imagine something bigger than your current reality. You have the ability to stand up today and say, no more existing. I will start living. Living with intention, living with passion, living with purpose that stretches beyond your own lifetime. Because when it's all said and done, nobody is going to care what car you drove or how big your house was. What people will remember is how you made them feel, what opportunities you created for others, what lessons you left behind when your name is spoken long after you're gone. You see, every single day, life gives you two choices, to repeat or to evolve. If you repeat, you get to stay in the same circle, same complaints, same excuses, same regrets. But if you choose to evolve, you become the author of a story that didn't end when you took your last breath. You become the reason someone else dares to dream bigger. You become the shoulders someone else stands on. There is nothing more powerful than a made-up mind that says, I am going to live so fully that my life will echo in the hearts of people I may never meet. Too many people die at 25 and don't get buried until 75. They give up on the dreams that once made them feel alive because life knocked them down and they didn't know they could get back up. But you're not like them. You wouldn't be here listening if there wasn't something inside you hungry for more. The truth is, your life is not just about you. It's about the lives you touch, the people you inspire, the impact you make that keeps multiplying long after you're gone. You've got to decide right now that you're not going to waste another day playing small. You're not going to keep your gifts buried. You're not going to hold back your words, your ideas, your kindness, your courage. The clock is ticking whether you act or not, so you might as well make the time count for something that will outlive you. Most people wake up each morning with a plan that was never really theirs. They open their eyes, hit the alarm, check their phones, and step into a day that feels like a repeat of the day before. They follow the same routine, think the same thoughts, talk to the same people about the same problems, and then lay their heads down at night feeling like something is missing but can't quite put their finger on what it is. They think they are living, but in truth they are just existing. They are letting life happen to them instead of making life happen for them. Living each day with intentional purpose means deciding before your feet hit the ground who you want to be today, what you want to stand for, and how you want to show up for yourself and the people around you. It's about taking ownership of every breath you take, every word you speak, and every step you make. Intentional purpose is not something that falls in your lap. It's not something you find under your pillow. It's a choice you make every single day. It's a decision that says, I will not drift through this life like a piece of wood floating downstream. I will be the one paddling, I will decide where I am going, why I am going there, and who I will become along the way. You can't control everything that happens to you. Life will throw curveballs, ASTORMS, biologists guess WILL level come. People will disappoint you, and setbacks will knock at your door when you least expect them. But what you can control is how you respond, how you adapt, and how you keep your eyes fixed on what really matters to you. When you live with intention, you start to pay attention to what drains you and what fills you up. You learn to say no to things that do not align with your values, your vision, your calling. You stop trying to please everybody because you realize that pleasing everyone is the fastest way to betray yourself. You begin to understand that your time is not unlimited, so you spend it wisely, investing it in people and projects that bring you closer to the impact you want to have. Purpose is not just about grand gestures. It's about the small choices that add up to a life that means something. It's in the kindness you show a stranger, the encouragement you give to someone who has lost hope, the commitment you keep to yourself when no one else is watching. Every day you have an opportunity to ask yourself, am I living on purpose or am I living by accident? Am I creating my life or am I just reacting to it? Am I letting distractions, doubts, and other people's expectations guide me, or am I steering my own ship? Living with intentional purpose means you wake up and remind yourself that your dreams are valid, your voice matters, and your actions today are planting seeds for tomorrow. It means you refuse to be a victim of circumstances and instead become a creator of circumstances. You take what you have right where you are and you do something with it, no matter how small it seems. Purpose gives you power. It gives you resilience when life tries to break you down. It gives you direction when the road ahead looks foggy. It gives you energy when your body is tired and your mind says, give up. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, you can push through the tough days, the lonely nights, the moments when nothing makes sense. Purpose reminds you that every struggle is shaping you for something greater, that every setback can be used as a setup for something more meaningful. When you choose to live with purpose, you naturally inspire others to do the same. You become a living example of what it looks like to take your life seriously, to not waste your gifts, to not bury your talents in fear. You give other people permission to rise, to stand taller, to dream bigger because they see you doing it. The ripple effect of one life lived on purpose cannot be measured. It spreads to family, to friends, to communities, to people you may never even meet. Your courage to live intentionally becomes a torch that lights the path for someone else who is lost in the dark. Every moment you have a choice. You can live your life by design or by default. You can live each day on autopilot, or you can wake up, look in the mirror and say, today I choose to live with purpose. Today I will not let distractions steal my focus. Today, I will not let fear silence my voice. Today, I will not settle for the ordinary when I know I was born for something extraordinary. Living with intentional purpose means you understand that the clock is ticking and tomorrow is not promised. It means you refuse to reach the end of your life only to realize you never truly lived. Most people go through life carrying gifts they never unwrap. They have talents they never share, ideas they never voice, love they never fully give, and potential they never tap into because they're waiting for the perfect moment, the right conditions, or someone to come along and tell them it's their time. But there is no perfect moment, and nobody is coming to hand you permission to be who you were born to be. Using your gifts to uplift others is the highest way to honor the life you've been given, because what you have inside you is not just for you. It's for the people around you, the people you may never. Meet the people who need what you carry inside your mind, your heart, your hands. Your gifts are not accidents. They are tools. They are bridges that connect you to those who need hope, encouragement, knowledge, or even a reason to believe that something better is possible. When you keep your gifts locked away out of fear or doubt, you rob the world of something only you can offer. Too many people die with their music still inside them because they were too afraid of being judged, too busy comparing themselves to others, or too comfortable hiding in the shadows where it feels safe but small. Every day you wake up with a chance to pour into someone else. It doesn't always have to be something grand or loud. Sometimes it's the smallest gesture that lifts someone to their feet when they were ready to stay down. A kind word, an honest compliment, a listening ear, a helping hand. These are gifts too, and they cost you nothing, but can mean everything to someone who is silently struggling. The truth is, when you use your gifts to uplift others, you don't lose anything. You gain, you grow. You stretch beyond your own limits because you realize that what flows through you multiplies when it's shared. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle, but together they drive out darkness that would swallow a single flame. Your gifts work the same way. They are meant to circulate, to expand, to spark a chain reaction of growth and possibility that reaches further than you will ever see with your own eyes. When you start using what you have to create opportunities beyond yourself, you stop living in survival mode. You start living in significance. There's a big difference between success and significance. Success is what you achieve for yourself. Significance is what you do for others with what you've achieved. You can reach the top of the mountain and plant your flag, but if nobody else can follow in your footsteps, if nobody else gets to climb because you never reached back to pull them up, then all you've done is stand alone at the peak with your accomplishments echoing in an empty sky. It doesn't matter where you come from or how much you think you lack. Somebody somewhere is praying for exactly what you have to give. Maybe it's your story of how you overcame. Maybe it's your knowledge of something that comes naturally to you but feels impossible to someone else. Maybe it's your smile, your encouragement, your time. You don't have to be rich or famous or powerful to change lives. You just have to be willing to give what you have. When you choose to use your gifts to uplift others, you become a bridge builder. You open doors that were closed for people who never thought they'd have a chance to walk through them. You break chains that have kept people stuck in cycles of doubt and fear. You prove by example that it's possible to rise and to take others with you. You turn your pain into purpose, your lessons into ladders, your passion into a platform for lifting people higher than they ever thought they could go. So many people spend their whole lives waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel worthy, waiting for someone to tap them on the shoulder and say, "Now it's your time." But the truth is, the moment you decide to show up fully, to step forward in courage, to use what you have without apology, that's when your time begins. You become a walking permission slip for others to do the same. You show them that they don't have to have it all figured out. They just have to be willing to give what they've got right now, with what they know right now, and trust that the rest will grow as they move forward. There's somebody you pass every day who's looking for hope, looking for inspiration, looking for a sign that they can make it too. You might be the only example they ever see of what's possible when you stop hiding and start sharing what you've been carrying all along. Most people don't realize how much power they hold in simple choice to grow. They wake up each morning and slip right back into yesterday's thoughts, yesterday's habits, yesterday's excuses. They live the same year over and over and call it a life because it feels familiar, and familiar feels safe, even when it's uncomfortable. But deep down, they know something isn't right. They know they're capable of more, but the pull of the familiar is strong, and the unknown feels like too big a risk. Choosing to evolve instead of repeat means you break that cycle on purpose. It means you decide you're not here to live on autopilot. You're here to learn, to stretch, to break patterns that kept generations before you stuck in the same place. When you choose to evolve, you make a commitment to outgrow old versions of yourself, even when it's painful. Growth isn't always pretty. Sometimes it looks like losing friends who don't want to see you change. Sometimes it means facing parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. Sometimes it means standing alone for a season while you build the foundation for something greater. Repeating is easy because it doesn't cost you anything up front. It doesn't ask you to confront your fears or change your circle or risk failure. But the price you pay for repeating is regret. The cost of comfort is the life you could have had if you'd been brave enough to evolve. To evolve means you stop blaming your past for who you are today. It means you stop waiting for someone else to change so you can feel better about staying the same. It means you take responsibility for your growth, even if nobody claps for you or believes in you yet. Evolving is a lonely road sometimes because most people prefer the certainty of what they know over the possibility of what they could be. But the people who change the world are the ones who choose the possibility every single day. Even when they're scared, even when they're tired, even when they fail and have to get back up again and again, every time you choose growth over comfort, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances. You teach yourself discipline, resilience, focus. You stop living at the mercy of your feelings and start acting from your vision. Feelings will lie to you. They'll tell you to quit when it's hard, to settle when it's easier, to shrink back when it's time to stand up. But your vision will pull you forward if you trust it more than your doubt. Choosing to evolve means you surround yourself with people who challenge you instead of people who keep you comfortable. It means you look for mentors, teachers, communities that remind you you're not crazy for wanting more. It means you protect your energy, your environment, your time, because you understand that who and what you allow around you will either fuel your growth or drain it away. Growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens by decision. Every day you have to wake up and ask yourself, am I choosing to repeat or evolve today? Am I doing what I've always done? Or am I doing what I know will move me closer to who I want to become? Even the smallest step counts if it's in the direction of your evolution. It might look like reading instead of scrolling, learning a new skill instead of complaining about what you don't know, having a tough conversation instead of bottling things up, forgiving yourself instead of punishing yourself for old mistakes. Small steps add up to big changes when you keep taking them. You don't have to know exactly who you'll become or how it will all work out. You just have to know you're not staying here. You're not repeating the same story that didn't serve you. You're not handing your power to the same excuses that kept you small. You're not shrinking your dreams to fit someone else's comfort zone. You're not pretending you don't want more because more feels risky. You are worthy of growth. You are capable of change. You are built to evolve. Life will keep testing you to see if you're serious. It will tempt you to slide back into old habits. It will whisper, just this once. It's okay to give up, to stay small, to go back to what you know. But every time you say no to repeating, you say yes to a future that looks nothing like your past. You give yourself permission to dream bigger, live bolder, stand taller. You give yourself a chance to see what's possible when you trust the process of becoming more than you were yesterday. When people reach the end of their lives, they rarely talk about the things they bought or the titles they earned. They don't lie in their final moments wishing they had collected more stuff to fill their closets or their bank accounts. What they remember is who they loved, who they helped, who they inspired, and what they left behind in the hearts of the people who knew them. But so many people spend their days chasing things that won't matter when it's all over. They run themselves ragged trying to impress people who won't even show up at their funeral. They sacrifice their health, their peace of mind, and their families to climb ladders that lead to empty rooftops. They spend so much energy building an image that looks good on the outside but leaves them hollow on the inside. Measuring your legacy by the lives you touch is about shifting your focus from what you can get to what you can give. It's about waking up and asking, who needs me today? Who can I encourage today? Who can I lift up just by being present and real and willing to see them? When you live like this, you start to understand that every word you speak, every gesture you offer, every seed you plant has the power to outlast you. You realize that legacy isn't built in a moment, but in the small choices you make over and over again. The truth is, no one remembers the size of your house when they're standing over your grave. They remember how you made them feel. They remember if you listened when they needed to talk. They remember if you showed up when everyone else disappeared. They remember if you believed in them when they didn't believe in themselves. Those moments stick longer than any material thing ever could, because people carry your spirit with them long after your name is no longer spoken out loud every day. There's a difference between success and significance. Success is about you, your goals, your money, your recognition. There's nothing wrong with wanting success, but when you tie your whole identity to it, you risk building a life that looks shiny but leaves no real mark. Significance is about what you pour into others, what you build that benefits people besides yourself, what you stand for when standing up costs you something. It doesn't take millions of dollars to create a legacy. You don't have to be famous or powerful or well connected. Some of the greatest legacies were built by people whose names you'll never read in history books, but who shaped entire generations by how they treated their families, their neighbors, their communities. A teacher who saw potential in a student nobody else noticed. A parent who sacrificed to give their children a better shot at life. A stranger whose act of kindness rippled out in ways they never saw. When you measure your legacy by the lives you touch, you find meaning in places you used to overlook. The conversation with the cashier, the time you spend with a lonely friend, the way you treat people who can't do anything for you in return. These are the things that stack up to build a life that keeps giving after you're gone. You begin to realize that your influence is bigger than you think. You don't need a stage or a spotlight to change lives. Sometimes you change lives in the quiet, everyday moments when you show up fully human and willing to care. If you're so busy chasing your own dreams that you forget to lift others up along the way, you're missing the point. True success is taking what you've learned, what you've earned, what you've survived, and using it to make someone else's path a little smoother, a little brighter, a little more hopeful. That's how you build something that won't die when you do. That's how your story keeps moving through time, whispered from one grateful heart to another. It's easy to get caught up in the race for more money, more recognition, more accolades. But when you shift your measure of wealth from what you have to who you help, you find a deeper kind of abundance that no one can take from you. It doesn't fade with the stock market. It doesn't shrink with your paycheck. It grows every time you choose compassion over indifference, generosity over selfishness, courage over comfort. The beautiful thing about a legacy built on lives touched is that you don't have to wait until you're old to create it. You build it now, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one act of kindness at a time. You start where you are with what you have, doing what you can for the people within your reach. Most people go through life never realizing that their story could be the spark that lights a fire in someone else long after they're gone. They think their life is too ordinary, their struggles too private, their victories too small to matter to anyone beyond their circle. But the truth is, the way you choose to live right now is shaping a legacy that has the power to travel through time, inspiring people you may never shake hands with or hear say your name. You don't need fame for your story to echo through generations. You just need to live it in a way that shows what's possible when an ordinary person makes extraordinary choices over and over again. When you decide to make your life a story worth telling, you stop caring so much about fitting in and start focusing on standing out for the right reasons. You become the example your younger self needed when you were lost and looking for hope. You become the proof that someone from your background, your neighborhood, your circumstances can rise above what was expected of you. There's someone watching you right now, studying how you handle failure, how you celebrate wins without losing your soul, how you stay humble when life blesses you, and how you stay strong when life tests you. They may never tell you they're watching, but they're paying attention. And what they see in you shapes what they believe is possible for them. Your life speaks louder than your words ever could. People can forget what you say, but they don't forget what they see you do consistently. When you stand up for what's right, even when it costs you something, that's part of your story. When you get back up after being knocked down more times than you can count, that's part of your story. When you love people deeply, forgive freely, and give generously, that's part of your story. All of these moments stitch together a narrative that doesn't end when your heart stops beating. It keeps living every time someone remembers your courage and decides to be brave too. Every time someone remembers your kindness and chooses to pay it forward. Every time someone remembers your faith when they are about to give up and decides to hold on a little longer. You don't have to wait until you've made it to start living a life that inspires others. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to live with authenticity, to admit your mistakes, to share your lessons, and to keep moving forward with your eyes on something bigger than your own comfort. People connect with your humanity, not your perfection. They see themselves in your struggle and find hope in your resilience. Sometimes the story you think is too painful to tell is the very thing that will unlock someone else's prison. The failure you're ashamed of might be the lesson someone else needs to avoid the same trap. The dream you almost gave up on could be the permission someone else needs to dust off their own dreams and try again. Your scars are not shameful. They are proof that you survived what tried to break you and came out the other side wiser, stronger, more determined to make your time here mean something. When you live with the intention of inspiring generations you'll never meet, you stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You start measuring your days by the seeds you plant, not just the harvest you get to see. You realize that real impact is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, invisible, working in the hearts of people who needed to see someone just like you keep going when it would have been easier to quit. Every decision you make writes another line in your story. Every act of courage, every moment of compassion, Every time you stand up when you could sit down adds weight to the example you're leaving behind. You're not just living for yourself. You're living for the people who will one day point to your life and say, if they could do it, so can I. You're building a bridge with your actions so that someone else can walk a little further than you did, dream a little bigger than you could, believe a little harder than you knew how to believe. Your life is bigger than your lifetime. You might never see the full impact of what you did, who you helped, or how far your influence traveled. But when you choose to live boldly, honestly, and with open hands, you guarantee that your story won't stop with you. It will keep moving, keep speaking, keep lifting people you never even knew needed your light.